Where Britain's top commentators speak out on controversial issues without the fear of the cancel culture sweeping the rest of the media. The publishing industry, once a bastion of free speech and creative expression, is now governed by the toxic intolerance of the far left. That was the tragic discovery of successful children's author Gillian Philip, who lost everything after her support for women's rights sparked an unhinged backlash online. Gillian had 40 books published while working with her employer as a freelancer for more than a decade, including the 7 books she penned in the successful Survivor series under the collective pseudonym Erin Hunter. But all of that counted for nothing when in June 2020 she dared to add the hashtag I stand with JK Rowling to her Twitter bio. Events followed a familiarly chilling pattern. It began with a barrage of death threats, led to vicious emails demanding she was sacked, and ended with her employer cowing to the calls for cancellation. Despite being well aware Gillian had lost her husband just 6 weeks earlier, leaving her as the sole supporter of their teenage twins, her publishing bosses appeased her abusers by mercilessly ending her contract. A few weeks later, her literary agent dumped her too. Her successful writing career had been unceremoniously ended because of her beliefs, but Gillian remained resilient and keen to find a new and exciting challenge while providing for her bereaved family. She swapped the literature for lorries. In September 2020, she became a qualified HGV driver and has since clocked up thousands of miles delivering goods around the Scottish Highlands. I'm delighted to say Gillian joins me now. So, Gillian, what an absolutely terrible tale, and it's so shocking this happened to you. But in hindsight, do you have any regrets with standing publicly with JK Rowling, given what's happened?
Hi, Dan. I have absolutely no regrets.
Good on you.
It was a terrible time. It was a horrible thing to happen. It was a really nasty thing to go through. It felt absolutely poisonous, and it really beat me down. But I don't regret it because it was the right thing to do. It just was. And I've always kind of known that deep inside, and I've never regretted doing it. I do it again.
But the reality is, Gillian, because you were prepared to support JK Rowling over the fact that she believes in biological sex, and by the way, she's always been very clear she also believes in rights for trans people too, you couldn't work as an author. I mean, it's just beyond chilling what has happened to our publishing industry.
Yeah, well, they're so cowed by it's just the thought of a mob. They're terrified. And the trouble is the publishing industry doesn't know where the next kind of panic is going to come from and what's going to be the next issue that's going to get authors cancelled. But there's a whole bunch of people online who are basically anonymous. They're trolls. But they think, like, it started with kind of book bloggers and Goodreads reviewers and everything, thinking that they didn't just have the right to an opinion on a book. You know, did I like this book? Did I not? Every author gets bad reviews, and you expect that. You expect bad reviews, but they kind of started to think that they didn't just have a right to comment on the book and whether it was good or not. They decided they had a right to comment on the author's beliefs, whether the author should have a job at all, what the author should be allowed to write about, what the author should be allowed to think. And publishers should have stood up to that straight away. That when it first began to happen, they should have stood up and said, no, that's, our entire industry is about expression, freedom of speech, freedom of thought. But they didn't. They caved the first few times it happened, and they've gone on caving ever since. And they really kind of shame the history of the publishing industry.
Yeah, absolutely.